Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery, and today I'm taking a break from my normal reading to talk a little bit about the importance of sleep in recovery. So often addicts and alcoholics don't have a great relationship with sleep, or at least not a healthy relationship with sleep. I remember in my addiction, especially in my alcoholism, I would stay up so late drinking and then sleep so late in the morning on the weekends and break my rhythm of my daily sleep schedule. And then by the time it got to Monday, I would try to go to sleep early to catch up on things, and then I'd sleep poorly and wake up Monday morning still exhausted and unable to really function well during the day. And so, in my recovery, I've gotten into a pretty solid sleep schedule. I'm usually not up much past 10:30, and I'm usually up sometime between 5 or 6 in the morning. And this typically gives me enough sleep to feel energized, to feel good, and but the really important part is the consistency of it allows me to maintain a good sleep schedule that keeps my energy at a more constant level. Now, the reason I brought this up today is last night I did not get a good night's sleep. I stayed up for reasons that I'm totally fine with until about 1 in the morning, and then woke up around 6. So I didn't get the most sleep, and I'm feeling a little hungover this morning. Didn't drink or anything last night, but I did have coffee kind of late and only got a few hours of sleep. And I'm feeling physically, I'm hot. Mentally, I'm a little irritable, and I'm having trouble keeping my thoughts together. It really reminds me of some of the symptoms that I had when I was getting hangovers a lot in my drinking days. It makes me wonder how much of those symptoms are related not necessarily to alcohol withdrawals, but to an unhealthy sleep habit. But that being said, it it reminded me of the importance of good sleep hygiene when you are sober and when you're in recovery. And I know that's easier said than done, especially for people who have jobs that interfere with their ability to establish a healthy sleep schedule. Um, but all of that being said, one of the things that we have to remember is that sleep, while there's a lot of things that science doesn't know about sleep, one thing we do know is that it really helps to regulate not only your body's physical symptoms, but your physical systems, but your mental systems as well. And so when we are in the middle of recovery and we are trying to stay consistent with our behaviors, we're trying to have a little bit more perspective and control over our reactions to the world around us. A healthful sleep schedule is really important to that. It's really important that we adopt a good, solid sleep schedule so that we're not putting ourselves in a position where our mental faculties are negatively impacted by poor sleeping. So a lot of that being said, I know I've said that being said a lot. Again, I'm kind of tired. I'm not on my game this morning. Um, there are a lot of people in recovery who have trouble sleeping, and in fact, a lot of people might have gotten kind of into drugs and alcohol in the first place because it helped them sleep. So there are a lot of things you can do to help establish a healthy sleep schedule and good sleep hygiene in your recovery. So, number one, no caffeine if you're sensitive to caffeine, especially. No caffeine after noon. If you're trying to go to sleep to adapt a typical sleeping schedule and go to sleep, around 10 or so and sleep for 6 to 8 hours a night, then no caffeine afternoon. Caffeine can interfere with your sleeping schedule, even, if you have it in the afternoon and you're not going to sleep for another 6 or 7 hours, it can still interfere, especially if you're sensitive to it. Now, I'm not especially sensitive to caffeine, and so I will drink coffee later in the day because I can still go to sleep. But I've often questioned whether the quality of that sleep is what it would be if I could just give that caffeine up. So I've had to kind of admit to myself that maybe you got a little bit of a coffee problem that's going to need to be addressed at some point. But I digress. The point is, if you are having trouble sleeping, cut the caffeine out afternoon. That includes energy drinks. And so the other big thing for sleeping is exercise. Now, for me, when I exercise during the day, and I'm not talking about going and doing something crazy, brisk 30-minute walk. That's all. That's all. When I exercise during the day, I find it so much easier to go to sleep at night and to stay asleep during the night. So exercise is a huge thing. And if that brisk 30-minute walk starts turning into a brisk 30-minute jog, even better, because then you're getting other health benefits from that as well. The other part of healthy sleep is healthy diet. So if you're loading up on a bunch of carbs during the day, you're getting in a lot of sugar. That's not going to help your sleep in the evenings. And what I have found, and I know I may not look like someone who should be given diet advice, but I'm learning. And that's been part of my recovery, is learning how to have a more healthy relationship with food. And one of the things I found is that, in my addiction especially, I would gorge myself at night. I would eat as much as I possibly could and go to sleep so full that I'd get indigestion and it'd be uncomfortable to lay down. Now I found going to bed a little bit hungry, just a little bit hungry. I'm not saying, starve yourself, but eating a smaller portion in the evening, going to bed a little bit hungry, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I think I sleep a little better when I do that. I eat a little bit more earlier in the day when I need some energy to get me through the day. But in the evening at night, I don't need all that energy. I just need a little bit of fuel to help me go to sleep. And so that has been another big change for me, is changing the way that I eat at night. And then the other question that comes up for alcoholics and addicts is, what about taking either supplements or medication to help with sleep? That's a little bit of a difficult question. You have to be careful, because I know one of the problems that I went into rehab for was related to sleep medication that I had started to use during the day. And I had started using it during the day at a doctor's recommendation to help with anxiety. However, I wasn't being completely honest with that doctor, one, about how I was using it, and two, about the amount of drug use I had outside of that medication that was probably causing my anxiety in the first place. So, sleep medications, you got to be very careful of. There are sleep medications that are non-narcotic that your doctor can recommend, and it's up to you to be very honest with your doctor when talking to them about this and telling them, I am an alcoholic or addict, and I cannot have narcotic medications that could potentially lead to abuse. The other thing you can try is natural supplements. One of the big ones that a lot of people swear by is melatonin. And I have used melatonin in the past. It does help me sleep. However, I tend to wake up with a lot more grogginess than I like. And so there have been some times I've used melatonin in the past, and it's helped me with the sleep. But these days, by adopting some of these other habits, first exercise, diet, I've been able to keep my sleep where I need it to be without supplements. Of course, the last thing is not just staying up late to stay up late. Really focusing on winding down the end of the day, getting out of that habit of just staying up late because it's fun. Um, I get that, and that was usually part of our behavior when we were addicts and alcoholics, when we were in our addiction, was to stay up late. That's party time. And the nighttime is the right time. I get that. But in recovery, we need to adopt, if work schedules allow, if family schedules allow, we need to adopt a more realistic understanding of what the nighttime is for. And it's really the best time to go to sleep, get a good night's sleep, and uh, really focus on that 6 to 8 hours that most adults need in order to get a healthy sleep schedule going. So that's it for today. I'll be back here tomorrow with more from the Untethered Soul. In the meantime, hope you all stay awake today, and I'll see you then.